Transitioning into high school hoops, the McDonald's All-American game is Tuesday. Obviously, one of the biggest games, and there's a lot of local talent. You know, kids at my nephew Elijah Arenas going to SC, AJ Dybantsa going to BYU. Allegedly got 10 million to go. Darren Peterson going to Kansas, multi-million-dollar deal. The Boozer twins. Braden Berries, is that his name? I really like that kid. JR, being a coach in the space, and Keyon coming up through the AAU space, how have you liked this new influx of, I'm not only saying former pros kids, but just this new generation of these young kids are really, really different. They got a whole lot of game. They got a large bag, versatile, long, play both sides of the ball. I like this 2025 class has a lot of talent in it.
Man, listen, I think American basketball is in a good place from a talent perspective. I think the training techniques and kind of the rhythm of the way we're developing our players is still there. I think, they're eating better. They have access to strength and conditioning. They have trainers. They're social media savvy. They're media savvy. And when you have a second generation player, there's a little bit of an advantage that you have because you got to watch your parents kind of go through that situation and deal with different situations. So I'm excited to see what these guys can develop into. And I'm rooting and I'm cheering for everybody.
It's just like baseball. I was hearing Barry Bonds talk. He might have been talking to you guys, man. I forget, but I've seen him recently. He was like, the players hit all the time. I mean, they're always hitting, taking BP. I mean, they're working on their skill. They're working on their craft. In comparison to basketball, same thing. They're in the gym. You have all these trainers. You have access to gym. You have access to better eating. You have access to the, generations, decades before you, watching them, watching the Jordan, the LeBrons, all these new players can watch the guys before them and add to their bag and add to their media bag and add to their brand and their business. So when it comes to training and playing, these dudes are so skilled, so good. It's just ridiculous. I look back at, me, Penny, and, we used to go at it because we came out at the same time and different guys. And I look at the actual game and we can play, we can get down. But these guys got 4, 5, 6 combos with the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Shooting it from deep. The perimeter guys, the 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", they play like dudes 6'5". You know what I mean? 6'4". The guards, it's point guards 6'5", 6'7". So the game is expanded so much, and they are so good. They are so much better than us. I will give them that. The way they approach it is a little different. I think we were hard nosed, and I think we were, to me, a lot of us that were good were just as good as any player today. But overall, in general, they're better than us. And I think the old guys got to
skilled
and got to realize that. Stop hating on them young boys. Them boys can get down, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Super skilled. The only thing I would say some of them lack, and this is not all of them, is just the ability to play off the ball. I think all these kids are accustomed to being the man, which they are, and having the ball in their hand. But each level they go up, they have to be able to understand how to play off the ball. And I think that's where the European game thrives, and that's why you see the growth of the European game in the NBA and the influx of European players in the NBA, because these guys know how to play team basketball. We're great individually skilled, but I think we lack the IQ to understand, okay, if the ball's not in my hands, how can I still be effective on the offensive end? So hopefully, we can close that gap and continue just to be good all around players. Katie, is there someone that comes to mind in high school that surprised you or busted your ass in high school?
It wasn't a surprise, but like Baron Davis, like in high school, was off the charts. Like BD could do everything. He was kind of like one of the originals of the hybrids, not necessarily like a 1-2 combo, right? That could do everything. So like BD, just watching BD, playing against BD, he was a guy who I tried to mimic my game after, Baron Davis was that boy.
What about you, JR? You just mentioned Penny. Like anybody else come to mind during your high school run that was just like, damn, they got it?
Okay, so for me, it was the East Coast boys for me coming up, because I'm from like a era where it was AAU was serious. It was Riverside Gauchos, the boys from DC, the boys from Philly. So I went back home after playing against those guys in Vegas and Arizona, at like Easter Classic, high school classic, like, man, them dudes from New York, they different, and New Jersey. They're really, really different. Mashburn, we were juniors. Mashburn was a sophomore, Jamal Mashburn, and he got MVP of Nike Camp when it was invite only, and he was a junior. We were going to our senior years. He was going to our senior years. He was going to his junior year, and he was just incredible to me. So Mashburn was one of those guys for me. Jamal Mashburn was like, oh yeah, he's way different. Way different.
Yeah.
So to me, it was an East Coast guy from the West Coast.
There was two guys that I wouldn't say surprised, but when we were coming up, we didn't know who was until we played them. Like there wasn't no internet. So I remember Deion Glover, I think with the Atlanta Celtics.
Atlanta Celtics.
He was
yes, sir.
cold.
He was a rookie when I was in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, he was tough. And then we caught Tracy McGrady's coming out party. I think we were going to be sophomores, and it was when Tracy was. Keyon, you play on that team or no? You was on that
Florida
team?
Flash. Yep.
Oh my God, we caught a cool
time.
45 from T-Mac. I want to say this is the summer he put himself on the map, where he went from like unranked to the #1 player in his class.
Yes, sir.
But I hadn't seen nothing like T-Mac at 6'9". His ability to do everything you saw in the NBA, motherfucker was doing that shit in high school. So T-Mac was like, whoa. Like T-Mac made me think like, okay, well maybe I might need to go play football because I don't play nothing like this motherfucking dude right here. So T-Mac was cold, man.
I love, Vince was starting. I think T-Mac was coming off the bench. So they had Doug Christie, T-Mac, and Vince. That was like my matchups who I was playing against. And when T-Mac came in the game, I was like, damn, he long like Scottie Pippen, crossing over like AI and jumping out the gym. You know what I mean? Also, people asked me in the summer, my personal opinion, I said T-Mac might be the best player, underrated, that's going to shine in a second. I was thinking the same thing about T-Mac. He was no joke.
And I saw Matt windmill on somebody, Matt, at Adidas camp. He literally windmilled on somebody. And all the coaches, all the NBA scouts, they lost their professionalism for a little bit. They was running out
professionalism.
Like it was the Ruckers, right? But man, my life was better because I got an opportunity to play on that Florida Flash team with Mac.
You seen it in close, but you got to think too. People don't realize T-Mac. It took him a couple years to get going. You know what I mean? To really get off the bench and really kind of establish himself. He was kind of buried somewhat in Toronto a little bit, and then finally, once he finally got his chance, and he took off. Same thing with Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal was another high school guy that was kind of struggling his first year or two, along with Kobe. And then once those guys got their chance, they never looked back. But that was a real talented time.
I look at it like this because I played with Jermaine in Portland his first 2 years. I want to say 3 before they traded him, before he got out of there, maybe 2. So he had Rasheed Wallace, Brian Grant, Arvydas Sabonis, Cliff Robinson. He had a lot of people there, and he used to just be pissed, like, give me a chance. There was times in practice Rasheed had to tie up them Air Force Ones a little tighter and come out of sweats. And Rasheed rarely came out of sweats. When he came out of sweats, it was a problem, right? So he came out of sweats like, oh, you big head young boy, here I come, and they would go at it.
He called him big head.
So Kobe and T-Mac was the same way. They had to wait a couple years, Kobe behind Eddie and T-Mac behind Vince and Doug Christie, I believe. So once they got their chance, they never looked back. True.
Absolutely.